Hi viewers, welcome to Nckhub Consulting and Training. I hope our videos are giving a great learning for you and shaping your career. If you have any comments, kindly please do give us a feedback. And if you like our videos, kindly please subscribe and follow us on Nckhub. Thank you. Hello everyone. We are back with another stunning video of AWS series as part of AWS. We are going to cover today from scratch step-by-step procedure to understand about first episode of AWS CDK. So in this AWS CDK, we are going to learn how an infrastructure can be created. Regularly, we use Terraform. Rather than using Terraform, there is another way of using the code we can do implement AWS Cloud Development Kit. How can we provision infrastructure using multiple languages? So this is a new topic which is available for few use cases of required applications where reusable models can be used in terms of multiple language cloud development kit. So let's start working on AWS Cloud Development Kit. Episode wise, steps wise, we do implement this. In this today's session, we are going to have a overview discussion and we will learn from initial starting in this session about CDK. So CDK, this is the AWS Cloud Documentation Kit. If we get into the landing page of a Cloud Documentation Kit, CDK provides actually a software development. It's a framework where multiple languages like Python, TypeScript, JavaScript, and easily we can do use at the back end language like JavaScript. These we have to configure with our Visual Studio Code and we can implement by creating .ts extensions. And we have to integrate this with AWS and we can do run like Terraform init, plan and apply. We can do provision infrastructure using CDK synth and CDK apply-wise. So let's start understanding about why AWS CDK and what is AWS CDK. So let's, for your ease of understanding, I have created a documentation as well where it will be helpful for you people. So let's navigate to understanding about CDK. AWS CDK, it is a cloud development kit where it defines provisioning the infrastructure using multi-language model. So in this today's session, we are going to have an introduction to CDK. So CDK, it provides as I said, multi-language defining a cloud infrastructure, which are TypeScript, Python, Java, C#, and others. By deploying these, we can create a cloud stack directly. That cloud stack formation will deploy infrastructure. So there is no separate structure of creating cloud formation. Example, if you can see in AWS, we have cloud formation where we can do create templates like this service. By using this service, we can do create infrastructure as well. In any region which you are working on, we have to create a stack by selecting the stack. Going into resources, we have to plan our resources, what we are creating, and we have to create a template file. If we have a file from Git, we can do upload it. And we can do generate using this our code depending upon infrastructure who is composing. So likewise, we can do create infrastructure using cloud formation templates. But today we are not going to talk about anything about cloud formation and other resources, only CDK. So just for example, if you want to create API gateway, you can try to build the resources with drag and drop. You can do get this and you can do validate this. If you want to create it like this, you have to go on. So it depends upon the pricing way, if you can see, the number of stack formations you create, it depends upon the pricing. So your template was successfully created using this infrastructure composer. So likewise, your templates will be created. As this is not going to be discussed, we are going back to our CDK. Just for our understanding, I have shown you the cloud formation. Likewise, using code, we can create cloud formation templates. We are not going to create at the backend. It is going to create a stack template using the multi-language model. Next, it will deploy the infrastructure for us. So how this works and what are the prerequisites, how this can be implemented and why AWS CDK. We will see this. If you can see here example, if an application is being deployed, you can use TypeScript or JavaScript or Java C#, and that application which is residing, it will create a stack for you. This stack, which I said, cloud formation stack, which contains a template that will be generated using example, if you are playing with CDK to create EC2 instance, S3 instance, you have to create certain Python or Terraform TypeScript.ts script where you have to create libraries and import libraries, and next after that one you have to create a resource. So upon that basic templates, your formation template will be available and resource will be created. So why as CDK? So this CDK allows you to create your own development file of programming language infrastructure. You can create in your own language, which was in TS, Python, C# or Java. And the script will compile for you into cloud formations automatically. There is nothing required that you have to manage. And this CDK supports constructs. These constructs are in CDK are called as building blocks, where you will be using this as reused infrastructure services. So what are the prerequisites required? So first you have to have a AWS account and proper permissions to manage the CDK. Next, you have to install Node.js, NPM, and AWS CLI and CDK CLI interfaces to manage this. Next, you should have programming skills with respect to Python, TypeScript, JavaScript likewise. And next, you are good to fly with your AWS services. You can create EC2, S3 Lambda, and so on services. We have to simply deploy these services using our Visual Studio Code, and we can add syntax highlight like I am going to show you now here in my Visual Studio Code. For example, if you can see here, this is one such example which is showing about CDK, AWS CDK libraries. This we have to install, and along this one we have to manage installing CDK library using AWS C3. So this is one and next another one is you have to create a class where you will be creating a stack for your resource where you are going to create with certain properties which defines example. If you are creating S3 bucket, you have to define your bucket name. If that bucket is having a proper security needs to be managed, this provides versioning enabled and encryption enabled or not, we can check. And block public address all, we can block all. Likewise, you have to create a simple and easy code with defaults. Using those, you can manage your infrastructure provisioning using CDK. So this is one such example which shows creating a stack, next creating a bucket. Okay. So now back to our prerequisites. As I said, we need account, proper softwares, and what are the research you are going to create. You have to have an idea. Next, you should have a development environment to provision this. Example, Visual Studio Code. So as I said, you have to install AWS CDK CLI using NPM. You have to install Node.js if you are using Linux or Windows provision it properly by installing it. In the coming classes, we are going to see how to install CDK CLI, Node.js, NPM as well. And using the NPM, we will be installing AWS CDK as well. Okay, so next after that, we will be synthesize or initializing, planning or apply like we do in Terraform. Here also we do synthesize and we can do create and apply in the similar fashion. And this command line interface provides you initialize and templates to synthesize and deploy your infrastructure and manage. So this is the cloud resource management, which we are going to do in our upcoming sessions. So these sessions provides you a high benefit of creating and managing the infrastructure using CDK resource management. So we'll try to understand more about CDK. So we have a concept in CDK called constructs. So what are these core concepts of CDK? What are the levels? What is the benefit of using these constructs? We are going to have a look. So first, we will be having three different levels. Okay, first one is L1, L2, and L3. L1, L2, and L3. L1 provides cloud formation resources to provide resource constructs. Example, if you are planning a single resource to manage and create AWS S3, here if you can see S3.confirm bucket with CF bucket, CF bucket policy. Likewise, you will be creating. Next, you will be providing resource constructs with L2. So here cloud formation resource constructs you do use in L1. This is simple level. And next level is with the default. We will with the defaults we do create bucket and bucket policy. Example, blocking the public bucket access. Providing server-side encryption with KMS policy and versioning needs to be enabled. Likewise, we will do create L2 construct. Next, L3. It will deploy multiple services. Example, if you can take here as I am showing ECS patterns. If you are creating a ECS, you will be requiring Fargate, target service, EC2 service, and what type of ALB you are going to use. All those multiple services you are going to use. So that will be in L3. So L1, L2, L3, single service adding the bucket with respect to the defaults. Next after that one, constructions with multi services where we will be deploying our resources. So if we can understand now core concepts of CDK. CDK uses, as I said, we will be deploying an application with a stack and construct as its functional elements to organize cloud infrastructure. So the core concept of CDK is CDK application stack and it forms construct. It provides organize in a simple and easy way to deploy infrastructure. Under this constructs, we have three levels, as I said. L1 maps into cloud formation. L2 works in abstractions with defaults. L3 combines patterns or multi-services. So if you can remember, L1 cloud formation, L2 abstracts with constructs with defaults, which works with the defaults. L3 multiple services or combines patterns. So benefits of using constructs. So these constructs benefits are using constructs you can do enable modulars which you are using. Example, if we can take in Terraform, we will be having modules which are reusable. In similarly, here constructs enables modules to reuse for multiple infrastructure. Example, development, staging environment, production. Likewise, we do use multi environments and we can do easily reuse multiple modules and provision infrastructure through simplified cloud development. So that way these constructs help us to deploy infrastructure. So now if we can see a sample example. So I'm not going to create as of now, but I have shown you a code. So to deploy that code, what we have to do? So first we have to install our CDK. Next after this one, install S3 module. Next after this one, you have to get your stack with properties like versioning access enabled, which I have shown you here. So encryption, S3 encryption, S3 managed, S3 encryption, public access block all. Likewise, we have to create. If you want to, this is TypeScript. If you want to create the same thing in Python format, you can do create in Python form as well, the same code. And next after this one, we have to test this, how this deployment of S3 bucket is working. What we have to do is we have to go to our terminal. You have to, whatever the terminal you are using, Ubuntu or Windows, PowerShell, from there you have to run CDK synth and CDK deploy. This command generate a template and deploy the bucket into AWS. So this way you can do create a resource in AWS using CDK. So this format already we have discussed, and this is the code, sample code which we have seen. So to understand more about this one, we will try to get best practices. So how to use effectively CDK. So we have to manage a version control system to have proper coding with latest versions, with our Git latest versions, and reusable constructs we have to use and manage. So about these constructs, if we can get into the document and if we can see, so this provides multiple CDK form of languages that we are going to have a look. So if you can click on get AWS started with AWS CDK, so you will get familiarized with this construct libraries and what is the AWS CDK. We will try to understand. So this AWS CDK consists of two parts. One is construct library and the one is toolkit. So anything which are comfortable, we can do create it. So if we can see, it manages, develop and manage deploy infrastructure as a code. So this already we have discussed. So I would like to showcase you the different forms of examples where we can do deploy AWS CDK. First one is TypeScript. If you can see, already we have seen, this is about creating CDK, EC2 and provisioning VPC. So example, if you can see here, export class, this is the first class which is being exported. Next after this one, VPC, which is going to create, and ECS patterns with CPU memory and likewise. So same if we do use rather than TypeScript here, if there will be certain syntax changes will be there, but altogether code will be the same. If you can see here we are defining initializing and super, which are the properties there here in stack props in TypeScript. Similarly, here in Python, we have quarks. And similarly, cluster, ECS cluster, and rest of the things all are same. Similarly, if we do use JavaScript, we have to create a class for that class, which is extended to a constructor. This constructor scope defines ID and properties. Next, followed by VPC cluster and VPC associated with CPU and memory. This way, similarly, we can do create for EC2 to create resources, subnets, ECS, and multi-language L3 if we are using. So likewise, we can do create n number of services which are provisioned with CDK. And the CDK is also integrated with starting breaking versions with Terraform. CDK TF is also there, but it is not high level, which is used this CDK Terraform with only few projects for few clients, not all the clients. So similarly, if you want to create EC2 VPC, you can do click on this one and you can see the code like this EC2 VPC. So here is the JSON and here is the YAML file. So likewise, we can do create VPC. This is one such building block where we can do create EC2 VPC, which is assigning to IPv4 and tags. So this is about how to manage creating a VPC using CDK. So let's go back to best practices again. So these reusable constructs we can use for multiple. Next, we can validate our CDK code as well by running CDK diff, which is difference. It shows what are there any validations needs to be done for the code, which before deployment we have to run this. So we can do manage this by environment organization. Whatever the environment we are working on, that way we can do validate it. So let's summarize this episode by concluding AWS CDK enables simplified multi-code language model to deploy infrastructure and reusable modules we can use and deploy our infrastructure easily maintaining if we know proper programming languages. If not, we can do provide and work with Terraform. So next, these modules are reusable in multi-environments. Building expertise gradually. So what is this building expertise gradually? Starting with, you have to prepare in such a way that with basic examples. If you are a newcomer or you are an experienced, know about the infrastructure code can be created from basic scratch. What is construct? What is CDK? So I am familiar with Java. I can do create using Java. Likewise, you have to start understanding your programming skills language. Next, you have to know about which infrastructure you are going to create. What are the security that can be provided? That is one thing. Next, after this one, the conclusion, the last point is we have community with AWS CDK West, which is available in multiple forums of AWS community. So this way we can do work with AWS CDK, guys. So in the next session, we will deploy and install all the required necessary libraries. Next, after that one, we do create a resource, either EC2 or S3. Next, after that one, we do deploy an infrastructure in AWS. Thank you for listening to first session of AWS CDK. If you like our channel and this video, kindly please do subscribe and share with others.